You see, Anne, people think evil always starts with horns and red eyes, but most times it starts quietly, with small thoughts, small jealousy, small discontent that grows like cancer. That's exactly how Amara's story began. Amara was born in Umunze, a calm town in Anambra. Her parents were farmers, humble people who believed in hard work and prayer. But Amara was different. From a young age, she hated struggle. She used to tell her mother, "Mama, I must leave this kind of life. I can't be like you and Papa, always begging God for rain." Her mother would laugh softly and say, "My daughter, pride is louder when pockets are empty. Learn patience." But patience was never one of Amara's gifts. By the time she finished secondary school, her beauty had become her biggest asset. She had the kind of face people stopped to look at twice. Long lashes, full lips, skin that glowed like palm oil under sunlight. Men in the town called her Angel. But the truth? She was no angel. She knew her power, and she used it well. When she met Cheek, he wasn't the kind of man anyone expected her to date. Cheek was simple. The type that still greeted elders with both hands and gave lifts to strangers on market days. He was an orphan who started life from scratch, selling electrical parts in the market. He didn't have much, but he had peace. And love, the kind that's rare these days. He met Amara at a friend's wedding. She was sitting alone, scrolling through her phone while others danced. Cheeky, with his innocent smile, walked up to her and said, "Fine girl, if you keep frowning like that, even the bride go fear to dance." Amara rolled her eyes at first, but his calm confidence disarmed her. Before long, they were talking and laughing like old friends. By evening, he'd already offered to walk her home. That's how it started. Cheeky didn't have much, but what he had, he gave. He'd bring her roasted corn from the roadside or buy her soft drinks when she visited his shop. Sometimes, when his generator failed, Amara would sit beside him holding the flashlight while he fixed wires and sockets late into the night. People in the neighborhood admired them. Cheek and Amara loved birds. They'd tease. And Amara would blush, pretending she didn't like the attention. When Chika finally proposed, she said yes. Not because she was sure of him, but because everyone said, "Chaik is a good man." Their wedding wasn't grand, but it was joyful. They rented a small one-room apartment at the edge of town, painted the walls bright yellow, and started their life together. At first, things were sweet. They'd cook together, pray together, and talk about their dreams. Cheek wanted to expand his shop. Amara wanted to start a small boutique. But as the months rolled by, reality began to press them. Business was slow, rent was due, and Amara's boutique never moved beyond talk. She started complaining. "Cheek, I'm tired of this life. Look at my mates. They're in Lagos, living large. Even Sandra, that my friend, just bought a new car." Cheek would smile wearily. "Amara, life no be race. Na small. I'm saving. I promise things will change." But she wasn't hearing that. Poverty has a way of making love look like a mistake. Soon she stopped cooking. She stopped smiling. She started staying out late, saying she was visiting friends. Cheek noticed the change, but he thought it was stress. Then one evening, everything shifted. She went to visit Sandra, the same friend who used to borrow her dresses. But this time, when Amara entered her flat, she froze. Sandra's living room looked like a hotel lobby. Gold curtains, air conditioner, big plasma TV. She even had a small bar with imported drinks. Amara gasped. "Sandra, how? How you do this one?" Sandra smiled lazily, sipping her wine. "My sister, na hustle. You two fit make 'em, if you get mind." Amara laughed awkwardly. "Which hustle be that?" Sandra leaned forward. "The kind way they pay well, but you go do without fear." Amara frowned. Fear? You dey talk like say na juju. Sandra smirked. Call him anything you want. Just know say life na give and take. If you give, you go collect. If you no give, you go die poor. The words sank deep. They didn't sound evil that night. They sounded like motivation. When Amara returned home, she sat outside staring at the stars. Chike was inside, cooking noodles, humming a gospel song. She watched him through the window and felt something strange. Pity mixed with resentment. This man means well, she whispered to herself. But good heart no dey buy food. That night she couldn't sleep. The picture of Sandra's new car flashed in her mind. The glint of her jewelry, the calm confidence in her eyes. And that's when greed quietly took her hand. In the following weeks, Sandra introduced her to people. Men in suits, women dressed in white lace. They met in fancy restaurants and quiet corners. They spoke softly. Never directly, but Amara understood one thing. There was a way out of poverty. A fast way. When Chief Okafor finally entered the picture, Amara's fate sealed itself. He came in a black Prado, wearing white like a priest. His perfume filled the air, the kind you can smell from 3 tables away. When he spoke, even Sandra went quiet. Chief looked at Amara like he'd known her all her life. You have strong spirit, young woman. If you're ready, I can make your dreams come true. But remember, everything has a price. Amara swallowed hard. What kind of price? Chief smiled. The kind you can afford. When you're ready, you'll understand. That night, she sat up late again, staring at her husband. He was fast asleep, snoring softly. She looked at his rough palms, the way his chest rose and fell gently, and she thought, he's a good man. But good men don't buy iPhones. Her heart twisted with guilt and greed. The struggle between love and desire began that night. A war that would soon destroy everything she had. From the day Amara met Chief Okafor, her mind stopped resting. He had that kind of presence that filled the air like perfume. Calm voice, deep pockets, and a dangerous smile that promised heaven but carried hell behind it. Every evening, Amara would sneak out saying, Sandra, I'd come your side small. And Cheek would nod, unsuspecting. He never imagined his wife was walking straight into darkness. Chief started small. He would send her $50,000 just for hair. The next week, $100,000 zir for shopping. Amara's eyes opened. She started dressing differently. Wigs, lashes, and designer shoes. People in the neighborhood began to talk. Cheek's wife Don Blowo, they'd say. But Chike thought maybe business was just picking up. He didn't know another man was buying the piece he worked hard for. Then one afternoon, Chief called her. Amara, are you ready to make real money? She paused. What do you mean by real money? He chuckled softly. The kind that changes your name. The kind that will make your friends start calling you madam. Her heart skipped. I'm listening. Meet me tonight. Sandra knows the place. The meeting was in an old building at the end of the town, the kind that looked abandoned but smelled of secrets. When Amara entered, she met 3 people seated in a circle. Sandra was one of them. Candles burned low, their flames flickering like frightened souls. A man in a red robe sat at the center. His eyes were small, sharp, and unreadable. He looked at Amara without blinking. Chief Okafor was beside him, smiling calmly. Welcome, the man said. You want to open your destiny? Amara nodded, her hands trembling. The man gestured toward a small wooden box in the middle of the circle. This box, he said slowly, contains wealth, but it doesn't open for free. Amara frowned. So what will open it? Chief answered, his tone soft like a father's warning. A sacrifice. Something precious. Something your heart holds dear. Amara blinked. Like what? The man leaned forward, his eyes glinting. Like your husband. The air left her lungs. What? What did you say? Chief didn't flinch. You heard him. Wealth requires blood. The closer the blood, the stronger the power. Amara stood up instantly. No, I can't. He's my husband. Chief sighed. Then maybe you're not ready for greatness. He stood to leave, but those words, not ready for greatness, stayed in her ears. They whispered into her heart like poison. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay beside Chaika, who was snoring softly, tired from the day's work. His arm rested on her waist, the same arm that had shielded her from rain once when they trekked home together. Her eyes filled with tears. God, why me? She whispered. But another voice, softer, darker, whispered back, because you asked for more. Days passed. She tried to forget the meeting. She even avoided Sandra's calls. But everywhere she looked, wealth mocked her. Sandra bought a new car. Chief sent her videos of women he had helped. Her phone was full of luxury she couldn't touch. And every time she returned home to Chaik's cracked slippers and his dusty motorbike, something inside her broke a little more. Then came the day that sealed everything. It was market day. Chaik's shop got robbed. They took his goods, his savings, everything. He came home defeated. When Amara saw him, she screamed, So we're cursed now, Abi? You can't even protect your own shop? He dropped to his knees. Amara, please, I swear I'll start again. Start again? She shouted. With what? Empty hands? You're a failure, Chaik. Those words cut him deeply. He looked at her, the woman he had loved and suffered for, and a tear slid down his cheek. But she didn't care. In that moment, all she saw was poverty. That same night, she sent Sandra a text. I'm ready. They met at midnight. Chief was waiting. His black Prado parked under a tree. He opened the door and smiled. You made the right choice. The drive was long and quiet. The only sound was the car's engine and Amara's heartbeat. They arrived at the same old building, now darker, colder. This time, the man in the red robe already had a pot smoking in front of him. Chief turned to her. Tonight you will bring him. Amara's voice shook. How will I do that? Tell him you both are traveling. Somewhere peaceful. Somewhere you can thank God for life. She nodded slowly. The next evening, she cooked his favorite meal, rice and stew with fried plantain. She wore his favorite wrapper. When he came home, he was surprised. Aunt Amara, what's going on? She smiled. Nothing. I just want us to go and rest small. You've been working too hard. There's this prayer mountain my cousin told me about. Let's go tomorrow. He smiled, touched by her kindness. You're too good, my wife. She forced a smile. I try small. That night, they held each other like old times. But inside her, guilt burned like fire. The next day, they left early. The road was lonely, bordered by tall trees and red earth. A few miles before the junction, Chief's men were waiting. Let's rest small, Amara said, pretending to check her phone. As Cheeky stretched his legs beside the bush, two men came out quietly. One hit him from behind. Before he could shout, a black cloth covered his face. Amara, Amara, he screamed. Her heart cracked open. She wanted to stop them, to scream too, but her voice froze. She just stood there trembling, watching as they dragged him away into the darkness. It was over in minutes. When Chief came out, he handed her a small black pot covered with red cloth. Your sacrifice has been accepted. In 3 days, your eyes will see wonders. She took it with shaking hands. Her tears fell on the ground. Chief looked at her coldly. "Don't cry now. You'll thank me later." She went home that night empty, numb. When people asked where Cheeky was, she said armed robbers kidnapped him. The neighbors pitied her, even gave her small money to find him. But at night, she sat by her bed, holding that pot, waiting. 3 days later, her phone started ringing nonstop. Contracts, business proposals, alerts. Money she didn't work for began entering her account. Sandra came over laughing. "You see, I told you, you're a big woman now." Amara smiled weakly, but deep down, her heart refused to rest. That night she heard it, footsteps outside her window, slow, heavy, and dragging. Then a knock. Amara. Her blood froze. It was his voice. She jumped out of bed, trembling. But the knock came again, louder. "Amara, open the door." She screamed and ran to Sandra's house barefoot, shaking.